drawing to a close with Madame Vastra, Strax and I found ourselves listening to a red-cheeked man as he bellowed frantically to a large, excited crowd that had gathered in the open field just outside the city.
Ladies and gentlemen, Holmes Travelling Carnival and Freak Show is proud to present for your delight in dedication the one, the only, the miraculous Dissolving Man!
Stepping forward, he fixed the crowd with a blank yet mocking stare before stabbing at the battered leather band that adored his left wrist. And then, with a fizz of unnatural light and energy, He's only gone and blinking disappeared, a toothless woman cried behind me. The assembled crowd gasped and murmured as one. Where had he gone?
He's over here!
A young man screamed. As one, the crowd turned and saw a grinning form of the Dissolving Man looming from the opposite end of the field.
Flippin' witchcraft it is!
Someone cried, as all eyes were trained upon him. Gawping in unison, they parted as the smirking figure walked back towards the lamplit stage, dark secrets seamlessly hidden behind his eyes.
Open the cage this instant, idiotic human!
Madame Vastra rolled her eyes as Strax complained. Strax, be quiet. We are meant to be undercover. As Strax continued to grumble, I carried on picking the lock. Finally stepping out of the cage, Strax mumbled something under his breath before fixing me with a flat stare.
Boy, I hope you have brought the equipment.
I nodded and pointed to the carpet bag at my feet. Strax reached for the bag. I looked over at Madame Vastra, who was already checking a small palm-shaped device. Background Artron levels are still dangerously high, she muttered to no one in particular as the light from the display danced across her face. Leaving her to her work, I stepped back and looked around the eerily quiet carnival. A freshly painted sign was perched above the cage I'd just unlocked. Its text informed the reader to behold the sultry lizard woman and the missing link between man and beast. Directly opposite us, I could see the supposedly bloodthirsty wolf boy and the world's smallest woman chatting together beside their cages. They told us that conditions had gotten much worse since this Dissolving Man appeared, said Vastra, as Strax snapped his body armour into place. Who is he? I asked. From behind us, a cold and hollow laugh began to give us the answer.
I've had many names throughout my time, but you can call me Harrison Crane.
As we turned, we saw two figures approaching through the late-night gloom. The first was Edward Holmes, the ruddy-cheeked proprietor of the carnival, while the other was the Dissolving Man himself, Harrison Crane. Crane was dressed in a sleek black overcoat and held a bulky pistol of unusual design upon us. He was calm, his gun hand never trembled. Holmes, by contrast, was nervous and talkative.
Well, well. So my two nearest attractions turned out to be part of the infamous Paternoster gang? I'd never have believed it if Harry hadn't have told me.
Madame Vastra looked at Holmes with content.
So, Mr. Crane is the one in charge, then?
Holmes's smile shrank upon hearing this.
The name of the carnival is Holmes Travelling Carnival and Freak Show. Like all the unfortunates who end up here, I merely offered him sanctuary.
Vastra hissed, I have never seen your sanctuary.
You will pay for your cruelty, ape.
Turning her icy stare away from Holmes, Madame Vastra shifted her attention to Crane.
Judging by your gun, I would venture that you're not from this time.
Crane smirked.
Am I meant to be impressed?
Strax was in no mood for Crane's mockery.
How did you come to be here, human filth?
Crane motioned to the leather bracelet on his wrist. Madame Vastra's eyes narrowed in recognition.
A vortex manipulator.
Crane nodded.
Stolen from the time agent who was escorting me to the lunar penile colony. But it was damaged in my escape.
For a moment, Crane looked wistful.
It sent me here, with only a stolen laser pistol and a time device only capable of short-range teleportation to my name.
Crane motioned to the clearly bemused Holmes.
Luckily, I found someone who needed my unique talent and, well, here we are.
Madame Vastra looked at Crane coldly.
But that vortex manipulator is venting Artron energy at a dangerous rate. If you continue to use it for your teleportation trick, you could incinerate London. Then it's a good job you came along, isn't it?
Said Crane, nodding towards Strax, an evil gleam in his eye.
Your Sontaran technology operates off a base circuit that I can use in my repairs.
Vastra laughed.
And why would we give it to you?
Crane shrugged before giving Holmes an apologetic smile.
It was a pleasure doing business with you, Edward.
No, 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 no!
Before Holmes could speak, Crane pulled the trigger on the laser pistol and reduced his now former partner to a smouldering pile of ash. The three of us were momentarily frozen with surprise, but Crane was already moving forwards.
Now, unless you want me to start wiping out the rest of the Holmes freaks, I suggest you give me what I want.
There was a silence for a moment. Madame Vastra and Strax shared a look. Finally, Vastra looked up and said,
Strax, hand it over. There will be no more innocent bloodshed today. That's right,
said Crane, as Strax handed over the base circuit from his armour.
But I take a guess none of you fall into this category.
Crane's pistol was raised, ready to fire at us, when the vortex manipulator sparked into life. Crane furiously tapped the device.
What's it doing? Why can't I shut it down? What's happening to her?
It was hard to tell whether the scream you could hear was Crane or the malfunctioning vortex manipulator. But soon only silence remained, apart from a slight scorching of the grass where he stood. There was no trace of him left. So you both knew Crane's plan wouldn't work? Strax nodded.
It is my eternal shame that my clone batch was disgraced in combat,
he explained.
Our base codes were invoked by the Empire as punishment. As a result, the circuit was not compatible with Crane's device.
I looked up to see Madame Vastra approaching us. Is everyone ready? I asked. Madame Vastra motioned across the field at the recently packed up carnival.
They're nervous about going out on their own, but I assured them they'd be fine. However, they did insist on making one change.
Madame Vastra smiled proudly as the newly renamed Madame Vastra's Carnival Haven for Weird and Unusual set forth on its maiden journey and dissolved into the night.